Alright, a new day. I just slept 10 hours and I still don't feel that well rested. But now is the time to start the routine activity. And I just noticed I set the J time, like I set in the plan yesterday. Or most importantly, I just watched the planning video, so I know what was the plan that I made yesterday. And now I noticed that I can't enter my that I set the J time correctly because I'm running out of space on this sheet where I keep track of if I manage to do my routine. And as you can see, this is pretty terrible because I should add actually a date to this, like put in today's date, I guess. But I didn't use it for like 1 or 2 weeks. It's quite terrible. So first step is to print out a new thing and probably include the date and then take a walk while the sun is still out because it's almost 8 p.m. Right, I printed the thing, but I got distracted really hard because I was I found this nice image here that's actually an animation, but it didn't properly loop, so I spent like 15 minutes making it properly loop, which is, well, I guess the problem here is that there was no point where I was like, oh, I'm opting in to spending my time like this. It was more like, oh, well, actually, I started with, I want to have this image where I thought Miko points at the star, but it's actually Nora, and that makes it sort of a bit less cool. So I was searching for images where Miko is actually pointing at the nebula, because I thought that was so cool. But then I didn't find one quickly. Well, I guess that was the first sidetrack. And then it went into, oh, I have this image, which is nice and it doesn't loop, so I guess I need to make it looping. I just realized that I should probably include a time in the OBS thing, such that I can see how long did I take, when were the intermittent things when I was reflecting, because I'm not quite sure how long this took. I think it actually took like an hour or something, this whole sidetrack. Alright, I just added the date time here on every kind of scene that I have in OBS. And now I think I should really take a walk because it's getting dark outside. And here's a nice trick that I always do when I take a walk, which is gonna put on my headsets and then I'm gonna talk to ear, and then people think I'm on a call and don't think I'm crazy. This works extremely well, actually. Right, walk completed successfully. I also almost caught myself, or like I caught myself, I wanted to start eating, but then I actually didn't do it, which is probably for the best, I think. Also, here's a video that I made when taking a walk. Well, pretty nice. So I think the best thing I can do now is first to meditate, then do a bit of telemancy, and then maybe eat or do some AI alignment stuff. I'm not quite sure what is the best after that, but I'm pretty sure I need to do the routine first, otherwise I won't manage to do it. And I feel like today that's what I was also thinking about on the walk. I feel a lot better now that I managed to meditate for the last 2 or 3 days. Because before I wouldn't do it, and then I was very unproductive, I think, because of that. That might also be because I ate some meat and cheese, and maybe normally it might be that I'm just normally nutritionally depriving myself somehow by not eating any animal products. It's probably worth doing some controlled experiment where I'm intentionally not doing my routine, like not meditating, or at least not meditating as long, because right now I do it like for 50 minutes, and then eat animal products, and then switch it around and see in which case I manage to be more productive. And I'm imagining doing that for like 1 week not meditating, eating animal products, 1 week meditating but not eating animal products, so I'm not quite sure if 1 week is actually enough to do this. But I definitely know that if I don't do either, then I will feel terrible and I'm going to be very unproductive. Alright. Meditation and Tippemancy completed successfully, and I haven't eaten anything. I will try to do a workout, and I haven't eaten anything, and see how that goes. Alright, I did the spot, and then also ate, and while eating I was doing some alignment stuff, wrote 2 paragraphs, well, or rather 2 sections on 2 different topics on ontological shifts. How can the science algorithm handle that? And created some sort of plan of what is even the thing that we can do such that we get some useful cognition out of the science algorithm system that would actually cash out into some pivotal act. And now I feel tired again, which is kind of very bad. So I kind of want to take a nap or like maybe sleep for a longer amount of time. But I only did like, I don't know, 30 minutes to an hour of actual work, and the rest was basically just routine stuff. That's really not ideal. But I'm not quite sure what I can do about this. Because if I don't do the routine stuff, I definitely... Then the problem is not I don't have enough time to work on it, but the problem is I can't even work on it because I'm just feeling so terrible. I think probably one of the major reasons why this currently everything is a bit fucked is because my sleep schedule is not good. I think it would probably be helpful to have lots of sunlight come in during the day such that I'm more awake and can do more work before I feel tired. At least yesterday, I felt like when I was basically working the entire night that I was kind of getting tired, but then once the sun came out and started shining through my window, like I sort of became less tired again. So I mean, ideally, I guess this is just super basic stuff, but yes, you want to wake up and the sun is out such that you get lots of bright light into your eyes. Probably want to try to sleep, see if that works, because now would be the time to sleep such that I wake up when the sun is up. But then I did lose 1 hour by making this animation loop rather than doing this other stuff. So I guess I could have done 1 hour more. Well, and at least now, because I rewatched the video of what I was recording, and because I actually recorded what I was doing and how I failed to be productive, although it's not even entirely clear that was the worst thing, definitely could have been a lot worse. But I know that I lost, well, I don't know exactly how much time I lost, but roughly an hour. And that's actually pretty great, because just looking at the video of what I did is probably a good way to become aware of the ways in which I'm failing to spend my time how I think it would be good to spend my time. Anyway, I will try to take a nap, and let's see if I can continue work on AI alignment, or if I'm just gonna sleep a lot longer then, but I'm actually not sure. Maybe I should establish something where, because I didn't do that much AI alignment today, I should start doing that tomorrow in the morning immediately, such that I can make sure that I get some sort of target number of hours in. Alright, I slept like 2.5 hours, and then I was waking up and had a pretty good idea, actually. I'm not quite sure I ever had that good of an idea while I was half asleep. But actually, when I think back about it, there were actually times when I was laying in bed a lot and couldn't fall asleep, and then I also had lots of good ideas in the evening. But that was like 2 years ago. I think the idea was about maybe we want to, when we create a world model, we don't want to just optimize for finding the right objects that we can like use to build the representation of the world, but instead you might want to create the representations of the world using the concepts and then updating this whole structure all at once with the sensory input data that we're observing. That probably doesn't make a lot of sense if you don't are in my mind right now. Might explain that all in another video, but I'm not sure. Maybe that's two capabilities stuff. Anyways, was still somewhat tired, so I was laying on my chair here. And I have these cool glasses, which are basically, they're connected to my laptop. And if I do this, I can, see my laptop screen and, can do any head position that I want and can still see everything, which is pretty cool, actually. It's pretty useful because, well, I feel like if I'm tired, then it helps to lay down. And where you normally, what I've heard is you don't want to lay down in your bed because then you associate laying in your bed with being awake and working if you're laying down and work. So what I do instead is I lay on this chair and have these glasses, and then I can sort of rest my body while still at the same time sort of working, because I can type on my laptop and see everything I need to see in the glasses. And somehow that allows me to work even when I'm more exhausted, because laying down somehow gives me a bit more energy. So what I was doing so far is write down this idea that I had, which I had done. And then I was looking through all of my notes and starting to organize them a bit more. Basically now I think I set myself on using Obsidian tags. So the structure that I want to do now is that in this main overview document that I have, the science algorithm document, I'm gonna do an Obsidian query for text draft, and then the path where all of my notes on these topics are, and then I'm gonna see all of the notes with the appropriate tag. So the next step would be to actually annotate all of the notes, figure out which ones still need work, and so on. Now that I think about it, it might actually be good to have sort of an exhaustive set of text to describe it, all of the notes, because then I could probably query, maybe not with this Obsidian query, but somehow I could figure out what are the notes that don't have any tags yet, are not classified yet, and therefore need a tag. I think that might be a benefit of tagging everything, even the completed notes. And also, I think it probably makes sense to, when I publish some parts as a blog post, then to have that tagged as a public or whatever, instead of moving it to a different folder, because right now I'm always moving all the stuff to a different folder, but this is kind of bad, I think, in this case, because I already have this structure where I have the science algorithm folder, and moving it now to whatever, the less wrong and articles folder that I have somewhere else seems kind of to just pull everything apart. That seems kind of bad. So I guess that's the advantage of tags, which I've heard somewhere, which is that you can have multiple tags on one file. And if you have a folder hierarchy, then you can have a file only be in one folder. And the thing is, I can even have I can have tags that are for example, draft / almost complete, or / stub, or whatever. You can have sub tags. And actually, if I'm opening this panel here, then if I'm showing the tabs, I don't think I have any nested tags. Okay, for testing, or to show this, I just created this. If I'm having a tag like this, where I'm / a text, then I have actually, I get automatically a hierarchy, and I can search for just this tag, and this should work. And then I find this exact instance. So I think that makes also sense. I could still look for all drafts, so I could look for drafts at that particular state of completion. I'm not necessarily saying that makes sense for the tags thing, but I think that is probably a useful feature sometimes. It's really funny. Each time, or at least very often when I watch the video, I notice that I'm just misspeaking all the time. I just said, I'm not sure if it makes sense for the tag thing. And what I actually meant, of course, is I'm not sure if it makes sense for having the draft tag have subtext for like the completion stage or like some other subtext there. So I'm not quite sure I solved this problem. I feel like that's probably one major reason why I'm bad at explaining, because I'm there is some disconnect between what am I saying and what is my actual internal mental representation of the thing that I'm talking about. And I noticed that in other people too. It's very often that they say things which are like clearly, obviously incorrect, but you know what they mean because like it's just obvious what they mean, but they themselves don't notice that they sort of misspoke. And of course, often you do notice when people misspeak. Or like the people themselves note when they misspeak and then they correct themselves. But very often this actually doesn't happen. So I feel like this is pretty interesting because it's some sort of mistranslation at a low level that also indicates that the representation you have at a like lower level in your brain is probably not represented in language at all, because I would guess that the lower level representation in the brain is actually correct. And then the translation into language adds this mistake where you say something that's clearly incorrect, but based on the context, you know still what you mean normally. Basically, just like the thing I just said, where I was like, oh, but I'm not sure if it makes sense for tags. Then I was actually meaning to say, I'm not quite sure if it makes sense for the draft tag to have subtags. So, you know, the thing is that you could even, like, if you replace the word tags with the specific tag of the draft tag, then it all makes sense again. So somehow my brain substituted the just tags in general for the draft tag, or like mistranslated like the draft tag into, oh, it's tag, so like I say tags. I'm not quite sure, but something like that seems potentially what's going on. Also, the thing is, after I was waking up, I was pretty tired, so basically I was still just laying in bed, but then I was taking one of these capsules, which is like some plant that apparently, well, you can just buy it on Amazon, but it's a light stimulant. And this, I can definitely feel the effect. Like, I don't feel, like, I feel like now I'm feeling just normal, not tired. It's pretty funny. Eric Drexler told me about the existence of this, which I think is kind of funny. Though I think I like Hubercine A even better, which you can also just buy on Amazon, which is a acetylcholinesterase inhibitor or something like that. And I feel like with Hubercine A, you don't have sort of a slouch afterwards. Whereas with this slight stimulant, I notice that if I take like 3 capsules, I only took like 1 now, but if I take 3 capsules, I can like notice that I have less energy the next day. And with Hubercine A, that doesn't seem to happen. Also, it seems like if I take 3 capsules of this, I kind of feel slightly sick. Okay, I will eat some melon now, and then I will get back to working on the articles. Well, or like, yeah, the next step then is to tag all of the documents that I have in the science algorithm thing. Yeah, or like probably make up a set of tags and then tag all of the documents that I have. Probably also want to figure out the querying feature more. Like, for example, can I query headlines? That would, I think, also be useful to know. I know I can query tag blogs, but yeah, that's somewhat different from tagging headlines. Right, I ate something and I was dancing to Intergalactia one time because it's just such a good song. And I got slightly distracted watching all of the shorts that they have on the YouTube channel. But it was really nice. Okay, but now I will get back to organizing my Obsidian nodes. But actually, I feel like I have a heuristic that I use, which is like, do a little improvement each time you notice a problem. I just noticed a problem that I spent some significant amount of time, like 15 minutes maybe, watching all of these videos. And I feel like the problem is that I didn't decide to do this. It was just the natural chain of events, because I like this Intergalactia song so much. And they had so many shots about dance animations that are really nice. So I'm not sure if I how bad this is. This seems like the kind of procrastination where I'm like, that sort of seems worth doing because it's just so good. It's like very different from escapism. And I'm like, I want to escape this. Like I wasn't like, oh, I want to not do the Obsidian stuff. I want to not work. But it was more like, this is so cool, I want to watch this. Okay, I actually rechecked, and in total I spent 45 minutes. I think I only ate for 50 minutes, so I spent actually 30 minutes on the video, which is, well, I only realized that because I was rewatching the video and looking at the timestamps. So yes, this was actually useful this time. I basically underestimated by 2x, by 2x, the amount of time I spent. I actually noticed that this is a common problem where I am getting stuck in discovering music. But I feel like I am not really it's not really that much of a problem anymore, but there was actually times when I was just for hours on end just sort of discovering new music on YouTube, which was like, it's unclear how bad this is. Like the context is that I only listen to music when I'm doing sport, when I'm dancing to this music. And this seems very high value because it makes doing workout really easy because dancing is just so much fun. And discovering new music is definitely very helpful for keeping it engaging. But it's not entirely accurate. I'm either dancing to music or I'm like discovering what kinds of music, what new music is there that I might want to be listening normally to while I'm doing sport, normally just because it's suggested in the YouTube sidebar. Yeah, I feel like if I had stopped and questioned if this is actually the best thing to do, I would have come to the realization that I could simply, the next time I'm going to do the workout, watch all of these video shorts, which would probably have made a lot more sense because they were mainly about dance animations anyway. And normally I like to do the dance animations such that I can imitate the dancing. Okay, I feel like this kind of problem is still pretty good to at least think about for 5 minutes how I could prevent it in the future. So I think the main problem here is that I'm not reflecting. Actually, I feel like I want to do a separate video about this. So I'm going to do that now. Alright, I'm done with the video. It's called Problem: How to remember to evaluate if you're doing the best thing. And I developed basically a strategy which I haven't really battle tested yet, but it seems like it has... well, I'm not quite sure. It seems like to some extent it will probably work. Like I'm over 50% that this will give me some benefit. Though the probability that this will solve the entire problem is probably more around 20% or something like that. Anyway, this whole thing took a lot longer than I thought. I also took a short break because now I'm feeling tired again. This rhodiola rosea extract is actually only active for a couple of hours. I did it actually on purpose because I want to offset my sleep schedule. So I took that and not some other thing. Like, for example, coffee I think would also already be longer in terms of the effect duration. But then maybe now I should go to bed such that I can sort of get up, well, at like 12, well, at noon, and then do stuff, continue to work finally until the evening. Hopefully I manage to do that. And then go to bed at a reasonable time. Also today it's super rainy and, well, I don't get much sunlight right now. In any case. The thing though is, like, in approximately 1.5 weeks, I'm going to give a presentation, all of the science algorithm stuff. So I definitely want to get a lot of work done until then. I'm not quite sure how I want to spend the time because there are like 2 projects I want to work on, which, like, the 2 projects, like the one project is I'm going to want to expand my understanding of the science algorithm and what I'm going to do. And the second project is to organize all of the knowledge that I, well, generated into a form where it's actually a thing where I can come back to and read, because it's not just a bunch of disorganized nodes, it has some structure to it. And right now I have a lot of things that are sort of not organized properly, I think. like probably over 10,000 words. Like I guess between 10,000 and 20,000, or maybe even 30,000 words is my estimate. Also, another quick problem that I noticed is that I have two monitors, and here's like a really big 4K monitor. And if I have OBS, like I like to look at myself about the recording, the mirror in OBS when I'm recording. And if it's on that screen, then I'm always looking like this, and I'm like, oh no, I should look at the camera, that's better. But if I'm doing it like now, then basically having OBS, the preview, which you can see here, is like just above the camera, which is like just above the mouse cursor here. Then I'm gonna look at the preview and I'm almost looking at the camera, which I think is probably, well, way better. But at least if I want to optimize for looking at the camera, which seems like a good thing. Actually, let me briefly check this. So right now I'm looking at myself in OBS, and now I'm looking at the camera, and now I'm looking at myself. Yeah, I guess there's probably a slight difference, but it's not too noticeable. Also, if I'm looking at myself, or like, if myself, the preview is very close to the camera, it's also way easier to like switch. Like I can look basically at the camera right now and still sort of generally see what's going on in my view. Like one of the things that I want to see is like, is the pause button pressed? Is OBS paused right now? And that I can basically still see. Another quick thing I want to say is like, basically I was feeling a bit tired and I was just laying down on my chair. And how do you actually call that in English? All right, I was laying down on my armchair that reclines, just to take a break. And I was starting to talk to her ear, and it was just really nice, I think. Like, I feel like I probably take 2 little breaks of the kind where I'm just allowing myself to do nothing. Normally, I'm trying to push myself all the time to do something. Yeah, but I don't know. It just seemed nice to lay on a chair and talk to Ia for 5 minutes or so. Okay, I should probably also now make a cut for today's vlog and start a new vlog. But even if I'm just taking a quick nap or can't sleep at all, seems probably like a good idea.